Hey, what's up guys, JP with the Bearded Anomophalist, back at you with another review, but today is not a vape-related review. Today I'm going to be doing my first EDC gear review on this bad boy. This is the Leatherman Surge multi-tool. I've got it here in the leather sheath. Get some stuff out. Now, I'm a big proponent of multi-tools. I usually carry one on my person. This because I work in the plastics industry, and I can't always have my tool bag or toolbox around, so it's good to have tools on hand. And it's just good to have tools on hand in general. You never know when you're out and about and you might need to tighten down a nut, cut something down, cut some paper, or any other kind of. There are a lot of everyday tasks that can benefit from having a multi-tool on your person. Check out Nut and Fancy or Prepared Mind 101, Gideon's Tactical. There are a whole bunch of channels out there that do great gear reviews and get gear in. I mean, anything that I'm going to showcase here, I've purchased myself. There are a lot of great gear reviewers out there, but I want to detail some of the experiences that I have had carrying around some of these tools. I bought this from Bass Pro Shops in Clarksville, Indiana, 2 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. You can see I've painted in the logo, engraved my name on it. The camera's not going to pick it up. So this thing has gotten a lot of use and abuse over the last couple years. This is the sheath it came with. It's beat up. It's a leather sheath. It's very good. The button retention is excellent, but you have to thread it through your belt. It's a pain in the ass. It's got these little flaps on the side for you to put your bit driver extenders in, or I've carried a pin in there. I've carried little bits of wood. There's lots of stuff that I've carried in the sheath. Also in the back, you can't really tell probably on the camera, there's a little nylon strap right here that you can slip bit kits behind, or like I have, it came with this little sleeve, and right now I've got my file, which is a wood metal file, and also has a diamond. I've sharpened knives with this before, and it actually works quite well. But I've got this little doodad. I'll kind of try to do it on camera. Take the little plastic, put it right there. So I've always got it within the sheath ready to go in case I need to change that out. What drew me to this, I had been carrying a Leatherman rebar for almost a year, which is an excellent multi-tool. It happened to have gotten stolen, and I'm very pissed about that, but I haven't replaced it yet because I bought this. I bought this while I was still carrying the rebar. But what drew me to this is you've got tools on the outside. I use this blade for a lot of everyday tasks. When I'm around the shop and I've got to open a bag of plastic pellets, if I've got to cut up some cardboard, always useful to have a good knife. And this is a 420 HC blade. It's easy to sharpen. It doesn't hold its edge very, very well, but it does have good edge retention. I could cut through a lot of cardboard before having to actually touch up the edge, but it does take a nice razor's edge very easily. It's accessible on the outside of the tool, and it locks. It's got a really nice liner lock. I mean, you're not going to get that to collapse. Doesn't have any play side to side. Very strong lockup. You've got that blade on the outside. If you flip it around, you also have another 420 HC serrated blade. Now this comes in really handy. I've used this to cut doors in Gaylords to get into material. I have cut through nylon webbing. I've cut through the webbing that bands boxes together. It's a very good serrated edge, and it's easy to sharpen if you've got the right sharpening system, and also locks. So I mean, you're not going to get this to come down unless you take the liner lock down. And on the same side here comes with a very nice aggressive saw. Now I've used this saw to cut off small branches from trees. I've used it to cut through some really thick cardboard, and it just does very well. It cuts on the push and the pull. And this is also where you would exchange out for your file. Then you have to have it unlocked. Then you just kind of push this out of the way. If you can see that, comes out just like that, and you can put your file in there. I'm just going to put the saw blade back. Clicks into place, and it's not moving until you want it to move. And now, this is the biggest selling point really for me, is on the other side with the plain edge knife. You have a very excellent sharp pair of scissors. I mean, you can cut through thick paper. I didn't realize how much I needed scissors until I was carrying the rebar, which does not have them, and every day I found a need to use scissors. And they're just really nice. They got a nice spring action. You can hear. You can see the spring right here. It also locks into place. Very handy to have. And now when you open the tool up, this is usually the most used tool on the multi-tool. And that's your needle nose, standard pliers, wire cutters, hard wire cutter down here at the bottom, and another wire cutter right here. And the good thing about these cutters is that they're replaceable, and they're 154 cm steel, so they're very strong right out of the package. And if these go dull, you can order a set of replacements, take these off here, and you've got a new set of cutters. And these pliers are big and beefy. They're not spring loaded, which I like. I prefer a non-spring loaded plier on a multi-tool of this size. And you can't really tell, but I mean, they've been used and abused, and it's still holding strong. Now you also in here have a ruler on the sides in inches and centimeters. I don't like the ruler here on the rebar. The ruler is actually on the outside of the tool, and I feel like that's a much better place to put a ruler on a multi-tool that's actually functional. This seems more like an afterthought, just to cram another number on how many tools you actually get. But on one side, you have a couple of flat blades, screwdrivers, and a tool that I believe is a necessity on all multi-tools, a very good awl and reamer. And you can see all these tools lock into place as well. There's a locking mechanism right here on the back. Just push it, it unlocks. And it's very solid lockup. I mean, you get a little bit of play, but when you close it, when you close the multi-tool up to use, I mean, this is solid. If it comes unlocked, you're not going to be able to unlock it. I'm pushing the button, and it's not unlocking. It's still deployed and usable. So that is a very solid plus. Now, in my chosen field, I use this. This is one of the most used tool on the inside of this multi-tool is the awl. You can puncture leather. You can actually puncture and twirl it around, and it'll ream out a hole. That's very nice. I use this a lot to clean out grinder grates. We have giant grinders that we put our excess material in at work, and when you're cleaning it, little pellets build up in this grate, and this awl is easy to punch through those without having to go grab a screwdriver or something. But when we open the other side, we're greeted with a couple tools. First off, you've got can opener, bottle opener. I have opened a can with this. It's not as good as the Swiss Army can openers, but it is good. And you also have your wire stripper right there. I believe I used to have a lanyard loop on here, but somehow it has gone missing. Anyway, after that, you've got your bit driver. This comes with a flat Phillips and flathead. And this is where you would buy the bit kits to use this as a bit driver. And this is a very good bit driver. I've put in fair number of screws and extracted screws with this. One thing I need to buy is the bit kit extender, so you can get a little bit more leverage and reach. That's a very good tool to have. It also locks into place. And that takes care of the inside of actually the whole tour of this tool. Let's go ahead and close it. Let's talk about some of the specs of it, pricing, a little bit about my own philosophy of use and how I've used it. So let's take this to the side. I've got some notes. The first thing I'm going to say is the sheath is good. It's a high quality leather. It's real stiff when you get it. I have had the button come loose a few times, just catching on my shirt or on something else, so I'd rather get like the nylon sheath, but this thing will stretch out the stock Leatherman nylon sheath like crazy. So maybe the Molly compatible sheath would be a better option. You can get it that way. There's several ways that you can order this tool. This is just the way it came when I bought it from the Bass Pro Shop. Now, it goes for about $102, $103. That's MSRP. You can find this for $100, sometimes less, on Amazon. If you find a good deal, you can grab one on eBay. But you're going to find it's about $100 no matter where you get it. It's well worth the money. It's a strong, solid multi-tool. But this is where, if you're into counting ounces, this thing is a beast. The tool itself weighs 17.6 ounces, and the sheath is another 2.2 ounces. So you're looking at about 20 ounces of extra weight on your belt, and it seems like a low number, especially if you're not an EDC guy and you don't count things like that. But when you actually have this on your belt, it can weigh down your pants. I've almost had it even counteract my belt on several occasions at work. So it's heavy. It's heavy, but at the same time, it's also very heavy duty. And I've not had this fail ever. But should it fail, you get a 25-year warranty from Leatherman. And that's across the board on all their tools, not just the Surge. So if it breaks, you can send it back to them and either get it fixed or replaced. And that tells me this company, Tim Leatherman, and everybody with Leatherman tool sticks behind their product. And it's just a really, really solid business model I have. Some little other things. There are 21 tools advertised. I didn't count them. I just assume that that's right. Got the 420HC stainless steel blades. If it was a better steel, that would drive the cost up. The 420 it's a good work steel. It's easy to sharpen. It takes an edge quickly, and it holds an edge for a decent amount of time. The blade exchanger is an excellent feature. I really like that. I find myself keeping the saw on it more, but I do like that the file has the wood metal file and a diamond coated file, so you can actually in a pinch sharpen a blade on it. I have done it and it does work. A big selling point to me is that awl, man. The awl is the law. That awl is is one of those things where you don't think about it when you don't need it, but when you need it, you surely wish that your multi-tool had it. And I'm glad that it's a feature on the Surge. That's another thing I liked about the rebar is the awl. It has excellent scissors, excellent high quality heavy duty scissors. They don't feel cheap like some Swiss Army knife scissors. They don't feel cheap like the Leatherman Wingman scissors. I even think the Leatherman Wave scissors feel a little weak in comparison to the ones on the rebar or on the Surge. And the ruler is not as useful as it is on other Leatherman tools. I think that it should be on the outside, not on the inside, because you're getting in the way of the pliers. Trying to have a decent measurement tool, really you need it on the outside so you can get that whole spine worth of ruler. The replaceable cutters and the 154 cm steel, that's a strong steel, and you use those I use those cutters a lot more frequently than I would like to admit. Like, I never found a use for wire cutters until I have them, and I'm like, hey, I can use this. And the hardwire cutters are very useful. Another pro about it is that all the tools lock, and it's a very strong lockup. The liner locks on the outside accessible tools are just phenomenal. No play in them whatsoever. And the actual thumb lock tool that locks them from the inside tools is excellent. And you can even be pushing the button and it's not going to cave in when the tool is shut. My last pro that I have written down here in my notes, the blade and scissors are outside accessible. That is just... That's one thing that I didn't like about the rebar, is that you've got to open the tool to access things like your knife. Well, that's just an extra step between you pulling out of the sheath, opening up the tool, pulling out a knife, close the tool back, and then get to your cutting task. Seconds matter sometimes, and when those seconds are what keeps you from getting cut out of a seatbelt in 20 seconds versus getting cut out of a seatbelt in a burning car in 35 seconds, what happens in those 15 seconds is crucial. In a survival or protection situation, you want to be able to easily take your blade, be locked, and ready to go. And that's an excellent feature. Also really like that about the saw. Like, if you're out there blazing a trail and you didn't bring a saw, you want this to be accessible at the flick of a wrist. And it's just, you can do it all one-handed. And it's nice. It's just nice to not have to flick open the tool, especially if you get a new tool and you can't really flick it open like that. To access something outside accessible tools is just a number one necessity in my book. All in all, this tool has saved me from a bunch of inconveniences, but for the weight of it, I cannot justify carrying it every day anymore. That is where something like a Skeletal would come in handy, or the rebar, which is very light and is a very good multi-tool. I love it. I love the rebar. I need to buy another one, but just that it's hard to get away from these outside accessible functions. It really is. And any multi-tool purist is going to tell you the same thing. If they've been using something for a long time that had everything is on the inside, and then go to something where you've got accessibility from the outside, that's just a big deal. But all in all, this is on my top, at least my top 5 list of best multi-tools ever. And the other 4 spots of the list will probably be Leatherman tools as well. This company has just been making high quality multi-tools since, the 90s. The Leatherman tool is pretty much, I've very rarely walked up to somebody that has just an off-brand name multi-tool, and somebody be like, hey, let me see your Leatherman. Even if it's not a Leatherman. That's the power of the Leatherman brand. But I digress. The Leatherman Surge, if you don't mind the ounces, if you don't mind having a big bulky multi-tool at your side, this will never fail you, and you probably would never have to buy another multi-tool again. I feel very confident that this could be the only multi-tool that I own. If ounces don't matter, that's just the pure and simple fact, folks. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this review, the very first EDC review of the Bearded Nemophilus channel for the Leatherman Surge. I don't have anything to talk about other than that. I'll give an Amazon link probably in the description where you can pick one of these up if you feel so inclined. So until the next video, everybody take care and stay prepared.